Hello and welcome to Cozy News Corner, your source for open source news. And today we're going to start with, as usual, a couple of vulnerabilities. First up, we have a Git regression that is introduced in Ubuntu 22.04, so upgrade that for a command line fix. Next up, we have Debian Thunderbird important info disclosure code execution. So if you're running Thunderbird, somebody may create an email that could run code on your machine, so upgrade Thunderbird. Next up, we have Chromium, critical arbitrary code risk. Again, somebody can run code on your system by just creating a web page. Next up, we have Firefox, similar risk there, upgrade Firefox. Next up, we have curl, which has an authentication issue. So if you are running curl, there might be a problem with some of the protocols when you are logging in. So it's for HTTP, HTTPS, and FTP client libraries. Next up, we have rack, which has a critical path traversal code execution. So it can actually go down in your system and go and run code that it shouldn't have access to, and that is for Ruby rack. And we have Seth, which has an important SSL intermediate DDoS, so a denial of service in Seth, need to upgrade. We have libSSL, which is important DDoS risk as well, where we have several issues fixed in libSSL. And we have GIMP, which has a critical code execution. So if it opens a particularly created image, it could gain the possibility to run code. And that was all the vulnerability news for the week of 9 and 10. So now we will enter the news segment for week 9 and 10. And we have a lot to talk about here, about 7 or so. And first off, we have OpenOffice doc 9.3 that brings multi-page view, and this is a self-hosted Office suite. And we see this trend more and more in the EU that we want to bring things home, we want to run things locally, self-hosted, it should be open source and so on. We are leaving Microsoft more and more. Another thing that is added to this OnlyOffice is new PDF signing capabilities and more functionalities for PDF editing, multi-page view where you can see more pages in one view. I guess you have seen it when you're editing a document. You can either see just one document or you can see multiple in a row. And we also have a better solver in the spreadsheet view, so solving arithmetic algorithms, that's much more improved here. Next up, we have LibreOffice 26.02, 26.2.1, which had a bunch of rendering issues fixed. We have better support for more Office document formats, and we also have a better solver in this for spreadsheets and so on. So even there, we have better algorithms for math expressions. Next up, we have this FWPD, which is a firmware updater tool. And the big thing now in version 2.0.20 is that we have better support for AMD platforms and so on. So if you are interested in using this tool, we have a new release out now. Next up, we have Tails, which is this operating system where you have the Tor browser, you have Thunderbird and so on for security. So it's a Linux distro for running Tor, which is this onion router where you are sending traffic out and putting it into multiple encryptions, and then for each of the different places that you will go to, it will take off a layer. So it's an onion that you take off a bunch of layers, and then when it goes back, it puts those layers back, which means that it could de-anonymize you a little bit. So a little bit more anonymous browsing, very slow. And the big thing here is the Thunderbird is a new update, and Thunderbird will update for every reboot. So this is a system that is pretty much a security system, and it's not something that you really update. You install a new version, but now both Thunderbird and Firefox will be updated for every reboot. Next up, we have the Linux kernel. LTS supported extended for multiple releases, and this is really cool because when it comes to Linux, we have support for at least 2-3 years, and then we extend that with another couple of years, and then after that with another couple of years. So you have main support for a Linux kernel for a while, but now they have extended the extended support. So before, with 6.18 that was released 2025, was the support have extended support from 2027 to 2028, so 1 extra year there. And the Linux 6.12, which was released 2024, is also to December 2028, and 6.6, which was released 2023, is supported until December 2027. So there is a cadence of adding more release time. So when you have these long-term supported ones, they will support them for even longer now. And next up, we have LibreOffice Online project has been reopened. And it's the trend again you see here, when it comes to things that you want to run locally. So LibreOffice, of course, is a suite where you can run things and do office operations, and similar to Google with the Google Docs and so on, they had an online version that was maintained, but they stopped maintaining that around 2022, froze the project and did no more updates, and now they have reopened the project in order to continue developing on it. Next up, we have React. It's no longer a Meta project, it's now in its own foundation. So this React project, which is a JavaScript library, which pretty much takes an HTML page, but you can write everything in JavaScript instead and render the HTML. But it should be reactive. That's a big point. So you change a particular state and the web page should update for you. And this was open sourced by Meta back in 2013. So it has been an open source project for 13 years. But Meta has been the main maintainer. So now they have created this React Foundation, and it was officially launched by the Linux Foundation member summit in Napa, California. And then they have a bunch of different contributors. So Seth Webster will serve as the executor director, and then they have 8 companies that already have joined as Platinum founding members. We have Huawei, Meta, Expo, Software Mansion, Vercel, Callstack, Amazon, and Microsoft. So now it's a foundation with a bunch of different members, and they will have voting and so on when they do changes to the React project. Next up, we have the Open Source Endowment launches to fund critical FOSS infrastructure, so free and open source software infrastructure. So this is for these kind of projects that are critical for maintaining the internet pretty much, and they want to be able to support those projects. And this is a non-profit that will share money with people that needs to have an incentive to actually make our internet better. And there is a couple of members here as well that when they start this. First, we have the co-founder of HashiCorp, Michel Hashimoto. We have Igor Syshovev, which is a co-founder of Nginx. We have Evan Yo, which is Vue.js creator. We have Daniel Stenberg, which is the curl founder. And we have Chris Ansinich, which is the CTO of the Linux Foundation. I'm not sure if I pronounce the last name correct there, or if I pronounce any of these names correct. But those are the people that are the founding members of this non-profit, and they have also pitched in money for this foundation, of course. Next up, we have AI that can now easily unmask your secrets online. So even if you're using a fake name or anything, they can find you online. And this is using a large-scale online de-anonymization with LLMs. And they can read and spot different clues on your online activity, then search the whole internet for different personalities that could match that. And then it thinks really hard and double checks. And it's pretty accurate. So on a real Hacker News user, the AI could correctly link a secret username to a real person 67% of the time. So it wasn't able to do it with everyone, but 2 out of 3 it could find and make a guess, and that guess was 90% correct. So it didn't find the person every time. When it found it, it was very sure about it. And the paper also states that the matching the same persons on Reddit post from different users or group, it met with a 68% success. So that is a little bit scary that you can use LLMs to find you online, but not really that crazy, I think. So being anonymous on the internet is pretty much dead by this point, and the companies that want to know who you are pitching in so much money here, so it's not really that interesting. Next up, we have this US state of Colorado wants the operating systems, including Linux, to tell everyone, every app, how old you are. So this has been a big topic for the 2 weeks now. So we are going into more and more of this chatter where we want to know your age in order to help the children, or to not make children able to see content that they shouldn't. And I think there is so many other better solutions for this, but this is where we are now, and now Colorado has gone in and said we need to do this, and it's meant that a couple of people has stopped serving Colorado. Pretty much, you are not allowed to use our platform if you are from Colorado. But there is a couple of different things here. So Senator Matt Ball, a representative of Amy Pascal, represented a bill for this age attestation on computing devices. So this was the Colorado bill. And that is up right now in the California Digital Age Assurance Act. So there's another one in California. And then we have the EFF's Year of the End review. Put it very bluntly, 2025. This is the year of the state choosing to surveillance over safety. So that is a take. And then we have a take from Canonical, or from the Ubuntu maintainers. Canonical is aware of the legislation and is reviewing it internally with legal counsels, but there is currently no concrete plans on how or whether Ubuntu will change in response, said John Shiger, the VP Engineering at Canonical. The recent mailing list post is an informal conversation among Ubuntu community members, not an announcement. While the discussion contains potential useful ideas, none have been adopted or committed by Canonical. So there has been a bunch of discussion. Are Ubuntu going to add this age check? But this is their statement. So that's why I read that very clearly, or very, very carefully. Similar talks are underway in Fedora and Linux Mint communities as well, of course. And then we have Calibre, which adds reading stats on EPUB viewers to show reading progress. So you can see you have read this many pages, this is these many percentage, and so on. So more stats in your reading progress. Next up we have Firefox 149, which enters a beta with split view, and I really hate it. I have split view in Chrome now, and every time when I click a link and I hold my mouse button down a little too long on the link and might move the mouse just a little, I get a split view, and it's so disruptive and really annoying. So this was in 149, which is a really bad update, I think. But they also added an AI kill switch in 148, which was the week before. So for people that don't want AI anywhere near their browser, you can now turn it off. And we have Linux Torvalds announces its first Linux kernel release of 7.0. So this is a release candidate. So there will be a couple of release candidates going forward, but they are expecting that mid-April 2026, it will be a full release of the Linux kernel 7.0. So we are going forward there as well. Where we have some good news. The EA is expanding its anti-cheat to ARM64, and Linux could be next. So this is interesting that they are adding more support for different platforms, of course. And EA recently put up a listing for an senior anti-cheat engineer for ARM64, looking for someone to join SPEAR, which is the Secure Product Engineering and Anti-Cheat Response Team. So perhaps when they have tackled ARM, they might tackle Linux. But one thing we know is that, let's say, Steam Deck is running ARM. So it could be that they are creating a Linux version just to have anti-cheat on the Steam Deck, and that could be an interesting development. And we have Frank OS 1.0 launches with a retro Windows 95 desktop. So this is what you get. Isn't it glorious with solitaire and everything? The operating system is lightweight. It targets hardware built around RP2350 microcontroller, a chip with about 520 kilobytes of RAM and dual CPU cores. So it's a very lightweight system that could be fun to install just to play around with. And the NVIDIA 595/45 beta Linux driver is already released. I'm actually running it on my system. I'm not really sure why, but it came. But this is more Vulkan updates and Wayland changes. It also supports DRI 3 version 1.2. It has, as I said, better Wayland support and several stability improvements. So let's hope that this is really a good release, because I'm running it, so I don't want any crashes on my system. And we have Linux from scratch. Version 13 has released, and this is the first version with only system D. And I think Linux from scratch has changed so much since I ran through it and did all of it and installed it and did a long series of videos where I went through everything, that I might want to do that series again. If you're interested in me installing Linux from scratch and doing videos about the different parts of this process, then leave a comment in the comment section down below so I know that that is interesting. And last but not least, we have SQLite 3.52. and it has launched with write ahead log, corruption fix, and CLI improvements. So it's really important to install, fix this, because if you have a write ahead log that could corrupt your data, that is of course very bad. And this is a critical database corruption issue. The new query result formatter library has also improvements. So the display of the query results is on a fixed width in terminals are much more improved. And we also have improvements when it comes to JSON functionality for inserting values into JSON and JSON binary arrays. So this was what I wanted to cover today. I hope that you found this interesting. I realize that this video is a little bit longer today because we are covering 2 weeks of news. If you have any comments or suggestions, leave those in the comment section down below. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends and colleagues. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. And I really want to see you in the next video.